Um, Hello, can everyone hear me fine? Okay, yes, so I'm Ash Garrity, and I'm just going to introduce myself a little bit because I'm new to Replanet. I'm currently doing my Master's in Agricultural Science at the University of Queensland, specialising in crop and soil science. And prior to this, I did a biology degree over in the UK. I've been doing activism for the last 5 years or so, largely with grassroots groups and doing lots of different types of campaigns, largely targeting fossil fuels, but food is where my heart is, and I'm very excited to work with ReBoot Food and develop the plant-based movement that I care a lot about. Okay, so our new campaign, it's pretty simple. There we go. We are simply just asking McDonald's Australia to offer a plant-based menu nationwide. Okay. It might be surprising that this isn't a thing here to some people, but it's not yet. So you may already know that McDonald's Australia McDonald's is one of the biggest restaurant corporations on the planet. They dominate our cities and our highways, and they do not offer a plant-based meal at all in this country. Not even their chips can be certified plant-based or anything, but they're sometimes the only option around. They have huge purchasing power and the ability to not just have a plant-based menu item, but to adopt interesting and tasty plant-based alternatives to their existing menu, providing customers with the choice to reduce their meat and animal byproduct consumption. This is why the campaign is called McChoice. It's not about making people feel guilty or trying to force certain lifestyles on the public. It's asking one of the biggest and richest food outlets to provide people with the option, and an affordable and an accessible one, a comfortable one that can benefit them and the planet. We also really want to reduce the stigma that plant-based foods or veganism is elitist and exclusive and expensive, and give people the opportunity to try plant-based foods in a comfortable and casual environment, as well as supporting people of different dietary lifestyles to eat a meal together side by side. So we do know that last year McDonald's Australia did actually trial a plant-based burger in Victoria in selected stores. And we haven't really heard anything since. They haven't published information about how it went. It was a short trial. We did call and ask if they had plans to introduce a plant-based menu, and they said there was no intention to do that anytime soon. I also filled out their complaints forms, and they said that they would pass on my concerns to the relevant people, and that was the end of the dialogue that we had with them. So as far as we know, they have no intentions of adding any plant-based foods to their menu in Australia in the coming years. But for those of you who maybe don't know this as well, actually in other countries, McDonald's already offers multiple plant-based menu items. Some only one, but some have 3 or 4, and that includes the double McPlant, the spicy veg wrap, and the veggie dippers. So it's just McDonald's Australia, which makes you think that maybe the demand isn't wanted here in Australia, or it's not really where we're at. But that doesn't seem to be the case. If we talk merely about the practicality side, animal agriculture is really dominating Australian land use. Using about 50% of Australian land is going towards animal pasture. And we know that it's significantly the cause of greenhouse gas emissions in the whole of the agricultural sector, contributing more than 70% of greenhouse gas emissions from the whole of agriculture in Australia. And so with this in mind and wanting to reboot food, we want to push for plant-based options to be very common, but they're also being shown to be popular in Australia as well. While meat consumption is really still high in this country, in 2018 to 2019, a survey showed that 42% of Australians were reporting to eat less meat or no meat, and just last year, a combined university report revealed that out of 3,000 Australians, 32% had decided to cut down their meat consumption, and only 3% were increasing. And so there's actually a lot of different statistics out there about Australians trying to reduce their meat and animal byproduct consumption, and ranging from around 30% to 50% in these numbers. But the amount of people who are strictly vegan or plant-based still remains small, but the amount of people who are conscious about what they eat and wanting to cut back is not small. It's very, very significant in Australia. Also, if we look at the markets, meat consumption, as I said, is still very high, but the growth of the market and also dairy and eggs markets is not growing at the same rate that alternative milks and proteins are. So these are markets that are growing incredibly fast and are not being taken advantage of or listened to. So the campaign timeline, essentially, we have written a letter that we are posting tomorrow, and we'll film that little post, and it's obviously stating the demand, our environmental concerns with the animal and animal byproduct agriculture that McDonald's is so completely reliant on, and then also outlining the social and economic factors that should affect McDonald's operations and decisions going forth. But another thing that's really important to us is the quality of menu items that are introduced, because it's not really good enough now to just introduce a plant-based burger. It's very uninteresting, will be outcompeted. There's so many of them on the market. It's really behind the times. So we're asking for a substantial menu with options, and options that are intended to be permanent and part of the plans of expansion away from animal agriculture. So with this letter, we have made a website which has a petition for people to fill out. It says survey, sorry, petition for people to fill out and endorse the letter and show support that they just simply want McDonald's to have plant-based options and for people to have the choice to eat plant-based food at McDonald's. And there will also be, the letter will be available for people to read themselves. And then this follows a period of our media campaign and trying to get letter support. And we will then present that to McDonald's early next year with the petition. And if they fail to respond enthusiastically or with plans to make any changes, then we will then ramp up our campaign to involve protest tactics. And so that's essentially where we're at with the campaign at the moment. And the final consideration is, so obviously this campaign is very achievable and has the potential to have great influence in normalizing plant-based foods and reinventing the narrative that veganism is exclusive, and also the kind of division it kind of causes to have a restaurant where people who are making these decisions actually can't eat anything. So no, this campaign is obviously not a solution to all the problems with the food system at all, but corporations do need to be held accountable for their role in promoting destructive and planetary exhaustive production. And I think we sometimes forget how much influence this promotion actually has in what people do and how people make decisions. And so this campaign also acknowledges that there are lots of problems with a corporation like McDonald's, lots of things that we might not like about them, but we also understand realistically that they are hugely popular and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. And in that case, the best we can do is ask them to be better. And yeah, thank you.